Welcome to ZIPS Nation Insider. My name is Jacob Farrar here with Grant Bogdan. Grant,
how's it going?
Very, very busy week.
Very busy week.
In ZIPS athletics. Let's start with the most recent, I guess.
Yep. The streak continues.
The streak continues.
Don't want to jinx these guys at all. Every time I talk about them, I feel like I might do so. But 14 games in a row, 21-5 overall, undefeated in the conference, 14-0 at home. Really just crazy stuff. Last week they beat CMU 85-82. So that was a close game there, but ultimately got the win out of Mount Pleasant. 5 Zips were in double figures. 21 assists on 31 made shots, so moving the ball around really well. And then obviously the big game last night that everyone's talking about, beat NIU. Honored Enrique Freeman was in the building last night. We had his jersey put up in the rafters, as well as over here in the practice gym.
Right over there in the practice gym.
So Enrique was out last night. Coach Gross said a few words, which was awesome. I think not only for him, but the people in attendance who don't really know Enrique that well. So I just thought that was a really cool moment.
Yeah, we'll talk little spoiler alert. I think we have Coach Gross next week. We'll talk a little bit more about that with him. But yeah, it was good to hear. Obviously, their histories very much overlap, and his ability to add some insight as his coach, quite frankly, of finding him and then developing him. It was really good to hear from Coach Gross about kind of his personal feelings about this huge contributor to Akron. I mean, it's weird in the sense of we know him so well, but at the same time, it's just crazy that he's the stardom that and it was packed last night.
Yeah. Energy was there, excitement was there, people were in the building, and then just everything he's accomplished as a walk-on. I mean, they were going through all his accolades, and you're like, this kid walked on open tryouts.
Kept on going, right. Kept on going. That was pretty good. It was one of those things where you're like, no, he's still this, he's still that, still like it's just all Mac this, and it was pretty cool to take part in that and to be there with all those fans who were in attendance last night.
Awesome night, super happy for him, and then they got the win as well, so that's a good thing.
So was this their first time being down at halftime? Like I feel like at least since Mac
for a little bit. I mean, the CMU game was close; they won by 3 up at Mount Pleasant last week, but this game felt like it was going back and forth for a while, ultimately until they pulled away. But
didn't you feel like it was never they weren't going to lose? Like it was like one of those where we've got this, we know the team. But NIU would not go silently. Like they were draining those threes at the end. You're like, there's some creeping. And then
I want to know what Coach Gross said in the locker room at halftime, because he told us he had to say a few words. So ultimately got the job done.
Maybe we'll find out here in a little bit.
Right. Awesome. Well, got the win there. Like you said, slow start, ended up pulling away. Tavari Johnson, Shema Scott, both with 15 points before they head to Ohio this weekend for a big out-of-town game.
It's a big game this weekend. Ohio, I'm not sure where they're at in the MAC, but definitely it's a place that they're going to be excited to try to break the streak.
Yeah, it'll be a good one for sure. So switching over to women's basketball, still trying to figure things out on a little bit of a skid, but I think there's plenty of opportunity to get back on the right track. Still 6 conference games left on the year. They dropped to Toledo this past week.
They were tied at halftime going into in that game.
Yep.
And I think it's just for that team and just the injury bug. I mean, I think only 7 players actually scored. It's just one of those things where, golly, you hope so much for them. We've had the coach on, 3 players. Obviously, this show we root for the Zips, but now that we know them personally, it's like every loss is just like another little dagger in the heart. I know they're feeling it. There's pressure there, but hopefully tonight they're back at it at Miami over in the Jar. Here in an hour or so.
Just under 30 minutes.
So hopefully we can get some a positive result from that team.
Turning things around here in the home stretch. So switching over to some spring sports.
Oh my goodness, they have been busy.
Very busy. So baseball is officially underway.
Baseball is underway. Matter of fact, I think they're playing in the field house of practice right now.
Yeah, they're getting warmed up. So they've played 3 matches. They went down to Virginia.
3
games? 3 games, sorry. I'm talking soccer. 3 games. Went down to Virginia to play Radford this past weekend.
The Highlanders.
Yep.
The Radford Highlanders.
Radford Highlanders. They won 2 out of those 3 games. In that last match, they won 17-4.
Yeah, it was. I watched all 3 games. They were fantastic until the second game wasn't. They lost in extra innings in that second game, but it was very easy. Could have been a sweep. For sure, that Sunday game, 17-4, was never in doubt. this team, there's a lot of new players. It'll be interesting to see where pitching. The big thing for the baseball team this year is they have now scholarships, so they've been able to bring in some players on scholarships. So hopefully that'll improve. Pitching was always the big question mark of the last few years, and I think that's where there's the biggest opportunity. They scored 38 runs over the weekend.
3 games.
3 games.
That's wild.
So it's they can hit. It's just got to slow down the other team's hitters is the big question mark at this point, 3 games into the season.
Right. Great start for them. They're going to stay on the road. They travel to Alabama this week to take on Jacksonville State over the weekend. So
one other thing with baseball, Jack Poist was one of, I think, 5 MAC players of the week in various sports. So he was best baseball player of the week for the Zips.
Awesome. Switching over to softball, in the middle of a very long road stretch that we were just talking about, down in Texas right now. They've played 6 games, 3-3 over that stretch. They have another 6 games just in the state of Texas before they continue on the rest of their road stretch.
Do you think we'll remember who they are by the time they get back? It's one of those where they've been gone.
We were just talking. I hope they are all happy with each other by the time they get back. I think that's the
well. I
important
think
thing,
winning's going to help, right? So
that might do something.
winning will help. They're currently 7-4 this season. Another MAC Player of the Week. Twice in a row we've had the Pitcher of the Week. This week it was Macy Walters. She pitched, listen to this line. She pitched 14.1 innings, so 14 and a third. Gave up 1.95 ERA.
There you go.
And she, by the way, 2 complete games and a save.
Wow.
busy over the weekend.
What a weekend for her.
Garner the MAC Player of the Week, Pitcher of the Week for softball.
Awesome. And then they actually play tonight as well. They got Texas at 7 p.m.
That game got canceled.
Never mind. They're not playing tonight.
Yeah.
Canceled.
I saw that
Game
too,
got canceled. It's not happening.
But they have UTSA, Sam Houston, Michigan State, Nebraska, Omaha, and St. Thomas all coming up this week.
Okay. Coming up, not tonight.
No,
we're going to look forward to those matchups. Bouncing over to women's lacrosse. They've also played 3 games to start the year so far. 2-1 as well. Coming off that big win against St. Francis. They ended up beating Xavier this past Saturday in a huge win.
So is that a fly the flag situation? I think it is, right? Xavier's Big 12.
So it's a big win.
Or
to start
Big
the year.
East or Big East.
Big East. Yep.
So I think that's a fly the flag type situation where they, the score was like 15 to 6.
That's a huge win just 3 games in. That's awesome.
And then our guest last week, Noelle Boyd, scored her 100th goal as a Zip.
Awesome for her.
So awesome for her, and obviously she was on the podcast, and we know that when you come on, knock on wood, good things happen. So, and then the lacrosse team also had 3 players of the week. So the goalie of the week, defensive player, and the offensive player of the week, all from the Zips lacrosse team. So, it's exciting. Obviously, we had Noelle last week, and we're excited about what's going to happen with that team. And they're 2-1, ready to continue. Hopefully, that goal of getting into the MAC championship.
Yeah, very good for them. They're going to be up over here in the field house as they host Presbyterian this weekend, so looking forward to that. And then track and field. And field we still got going on.
My goodness.
They had a trio of competitions over this past weekend, hosted by Boston University, that school down the road, and then Wisconsin as well. So they were keeping busy. Mercy Jebatuk broke a school record in the women's 5,000. I thought that was important to mention, with a time of 16 minutes and 23 seconds. So congrats to her, and we're in the mix of spring sports here. It's upon us.
Yeah, it's a confluence of the winter and the spring. It's a busy time for Zips athletics, but we're going to keep everyone on top of what's going on through the Zips Nation Insider. So is it time for our guest?
Awesome. I think it is.
Let's bring him on.
Go Zips.
All right.
How we doing?
Evan Wilson, fan favorite. Evan, welcome.
Appreciate
to Zips Nation Insider. It's powered by the Fear the Root Collective and Bryant Heating and Cooling. And our guest today is courtesy of Tire Source, the official tire sponsor, or official sponsor of the Turnover Tire. So before we get into some questions about you, let's talk a little bit about last night's game.
Let's do it.
All right. Got the win.
Of course.
Got the win. That's streak is alive.
Right.
The question that I've asked a few players, different sports, but I want to start off with this. As a player, do you prefer a close game or a blowout? Nail biter or blowout? What do you prefer as a player? What's your thought on that?
So, asking a guy like me who needs a blowout potentially to get some minutes, I'm going to go with a blowout. But if I'm a player on the floor, the close wins mean a lot to you, especially when it's a rival team, a team that's maybe highly ranked as well. So those mean just as much as a blowout. I think a lot of times it depends on who you're playing and what your standard is as a team. If you're expecting to take care of business pretty quickly, then doing that makes you feel good just as well as if you're playing a tough team, tournament caliber team, and you take care of business in close fashion. That means just as much. But for me, I love to see when the Zips blow teams out.
You're getting in.
Yeah,
we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a sec. So, from Noblesville, Indiana.
correct.
What brought you to the University of Akron to not only play on the team but also to enroll at the university? Talk about that story coming to campus.
Yeah, so kind of an interesting story because when I was a senior, COVID was going on, so was going to school half as many days as you were supposed to at that time because of the way everything was going. Wasn't sure where I was going to end up as a player. I was looking Division II, Division III, NAI level. My parents actually went to the same high school as Coach Gross's wife, Allison Gross, so we reached out to her to get Coach Gross's help, just looking at my film, the things I was sending out, like, hey, what do you think right now? Like, we all are in uncharted waters. We don't know what's going on. Is this something that would be interesting to the staffs and coaches that I'm trying to send this out to?
So really not necessarily directly to play here, but just in general, you're just asking them, hey, you're a coach, Division I, what do you think about?
Yeah. Initially, I was just looking for help because as much as my high school coach was trying to help me, he was like, this is new to me too. Like, it was new to everybody. Yeah. So asking someone who's been in the profession for so long was something that was able to help me. And, one thing led to another. I kind of asked how the preferred walk-on thing goes about with other schools. And he continued to watch my stuff, and we continued to have conversation. And then he ended up offering a preferred walk-on spot, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. So preferred walk-on, what does that mean as far as your status as a player?
Yeah, so that means that you travel, you eat with the team, you get all the same perks, you get the gear, you do everything, you're just simply not on scholarship. So when it comes to the stipends that they get every month or getting your school paid for, those things are things that I don't reap the benefits for. But if anybody would walk into a practice, a game, any team meeting whatsoever and just observe, they would have no idea.
Yeah, no idea. So senior year.
Correct.
So how has your role evolved as a player? So preferred walk-on, but your role's evolved, right? That first year, probably just a lot of watching.
Yeah.
But you're getting in games. So talk about the evolution of you as a player on the team.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. Like to start coming in with the group, that at that time no one knew that group was going to do what they did later on. So those guys have been there for a couple years, like Greg, Ali, Mike Dawson, Reek. Those guys were there prior to me being there, so they were kind of the foundation. They set the culture. They set the standard for all the guys that were coming in. The transfer portal was relatively new at the time, so we didn't have a whole lot of transfers. So they were the standard. They were setting the standard on and off the floor. And for me, being a freshman, like any other freshman in the country, you're just doing a lot of learning. Like sometimes you feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant because you're learning so many things at once that the next day you come in and you can't even comprehend what you just learned. So
high school basketball to Division I, like, is it that dramatically different that you feel like, I thought I've been playing this sport my whole life?
Yeah, it really is because the speed, strength, all that, like, that goes without saying that it changes. But the thing that I noticed the most was how much detail goes into the scout on opponents and on yourself, kind of paying attention to the things that you do and the things that other teams do well. So that was a huge difference. But like I said, just learning how to be a pro, how to be a Division I athlete, how to conduct yourself in that fashion was the things that stood out to me the most. And now since I'm on my fourth year, I know what that looks like. I've seen champions raise banners since I've been here, so I understand what it looks like.
Some rings?
I do have some rings to show for. So I'm able to help the younger guys or the new guys that come in like, hey, this is the way we do things. This is the standard. And, we move from there.
Got it. So I've also seen you at center court during games, before games.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Got to be a captain this year. It was something that was kind of sprung up on me the very first game of the season. We're at Arkansas State, and one of the coaches says, or the refs call for the captains, and one of the coaches said Nate, Zay, and Evan. So it was kind of a surprise to me, something that maybe wasn't as big a deal as one guy is to another, but starting as a preferred walk-on, and a lot of walk-ons don't make it 4 years. They transfer, give up, whatever. So coming from where I started to having the title as a captain was pretty cool.
We need a C on your jersey.
No, I don't need all of that.
But as a captain, there's some responsibility there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Talk about the leadership that goes with that. Also just a senior, right? So there's some leadership involved. How has that kind of played into your role on the team?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the setting the standard thing. As a captain, guys are going to look up to you. They don't look up to me because of I can dunk like Nate or I can shoot like Tavari. Like, they look up to me because I've been here. I know what it's like to conduct yourself in that fashion, to act like a champion, work like a champion, be a champion. So those are the things that I can kind of bring to the team is that I've seen what it looks like. I've seen a professional basketball player, not only in the NBA, but Greg's playing pro, Sammy's playing pro, Trenton Hickerson's playing pro. So we see guys that are playing pro all over, and you learn how to conduct yourself in that fashion. So I've been able to help a lot in the sense of just the leadership department and the locker room as well.
I was just going to say that, yeah. Plus, there's the message comes from the coach to the captains to the rest of the team. So as a leader, you're making sure everyone's buying into basically the philosophy of the coach, and here's what we're doing as a team. So, so let's talk about the season, right? So we're kind of around the stretch, handful of games left. What's your grade? What's your grade on the season? I mean, how do you think things have been going? Obviously, we talked about the streak, but for you as a player, personally, but also as a team, like where do you see the season going so far? Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if anybody would have predicted that we would have had the longest winning streak at one point and started off 13-0 in conference play, but here we are. We've taken care of business really well in conference, and especially since that Christmas break. We didn't win at Princeton, but that was one of the better games we've played all season, and I think Coach would tell you that too, that just the vibe and the pop and the energy we had that game was just really different from prior to Christmas. So I don't know what guys were eating or doing over Christmas break. Like, I was enjoying time with family, and sometimes that does it. Like, it just refreshes your mind. And we came back, and since then we've really just been working at a pretty steady upward as far as the season goes. Conference play is tough, and we got a really hard next 5 games coming up to finish this thing off. So it's going to be good to be challenged in that aspect. We're excited for it.
These teams that we were playing on the road, that's the X factor. You've already played them. You already beat them. Now it's on the road and making sure that the game translates. It's interesting. You talked about, what happened over Christmas break. There's a parallel between the soccer team on campus. And we had Coach Gross on, it was in November, I think. He talked a lot about what was going on with the soccer team, and they kind of had a very similar shaky pre-conference. Same thing. Something happened in a game. They went on the road. I don't know what they did, and then all of a sudden, they went on an unbeaten streak as well. So there's something in the water, I guess.
Yeah, there's something to talk about too with just the portal. Like, it takes longer than just June, July, and August to figure things out. There's the practice reps, but you can't rep out the pressure, the environment, whether it's the crowd, the refs, this, that, whatever, of a game in practice. You try your best, you really do. But I think that was something that was important for us with having as many new guys as we have, and playing as deep as we are. Like, guys are playing with different people all the time, especially early in the season. So getting those game reps and getting pressure from guys that you don't play against Arkansas State every day. So we're just seeing a different look at all the time. So by the time conference hit, we were 7-5, so we played, 14-7. I'm not really good at math.
You're catching me on the spot too, man.
So we played those games, and once we had those reps, we came back from Christmas, and we're kind of like, all right, we know what's expected of us. We know what the goal is. We know what we're trying to do on and off the floor, on the offensive end, defensive end. So I think not only did everybody come back refreshed mentally, but we had a better idea of what's expected and what we want this thing to look like.
Well, it's working. So that's the best part. It's working. I mean, again, as you mentioned, and we talked in the open, it's a tough stretch of the season, but there's no reason to think that something's weird's going to happen. I mean, knock on something that we get that. So let's talk about you as a student athlete. And we're here with Evan Wilson on ZIPS Nation Insider. So that only 1%, I saw this stat, 1% of high school athletes go on to play at the Division I level.
I think I was aware of that.
1%.
Yeah.
So what does this opportunity mean to you to be here, to play Division I basketball?
Yeah, it really is life-changing. Like, I was thinking about it the other day, ironically, the amount of, 1% of people can say that they've done that. And my parents, especially my dad, having played and walked on at Alabama and played basketball as well, he kind of explained to me that when you do this, like, he had a job interview, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, where the interview was solely about his time at Alabama.
Wow.
Nothing about what the job was. And he taught it as a lesson to me that, like, wherever you play at, people not only look back at what you've done, but people want to be a Division I athlete and want to know what it is and what it feels like and all these things. So it's
99% of high school athletes.
There's a lot of people trying to do it, and it just doesn't work out for a lot of people, which is fine. But the ones that it does, like, it's a life-changing 4 years for you, where you might go play in the NBA like Enrique did, or you might do what I do, and you have this experience, and now what are you going to do with it? The people I've met and the lessons I've learned along the way really are life-changing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So let's talk about that. So majoring in sports business.
Correct.
How do you see the academic, the rigor that you're going through from the academic side meshing with the sports stuff? Do you feel like there's some putting those things on a Venn diagram? Is there overlap between those two?
Yeah, there is some. President Niemer, who was the dean of the College of Business before becoming the president, did a great job of not only starting but really vamping up the sports business and sports analytics degrees under the College of Business. And with the background that he has as an agent at one point, a big-time agent in the professional golf world, he did a really good job of implementing curriculum that is easily applicable to real life. You know, I've taken a class with Dr. Lee about ticket sales and trying to sell tickets and what it's like. You know, it's easy to sell when you're winning, but how do you do it when you're losing? Like there's things, they put you in real world scenarios where you are tested and have to try to accomplish those things without having the chance of failing and falling on your face and losing your job for it. You know, you're just in a class where you can learn and figure it out that way. So there's definitely been some rewarding experiences in my time in the College of Business and under that degree, and really got to shout out President Niemer for making that thing powerful.
By the way, I also appreciate the shout out to Dr. Lee. Singboom is one of my
He's
favorite
awesome.
guys.
Great dude.
So good shout out to
Great
him. So you made the Dean's List every semester.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
How do you balance the time? You guys are on the road. Like you start playing I think you start traveling late October, early November.
Yeah.
You go through March. You're able to be on the Dean's List. How do you balance the homework versus, you know, these academic responsibilities, and you're on the court responsibilities?
Yeah. Being a basketball player, like you said, you start traveling really late October. You get a couple scrimmages here and there. Once November hits, you are just hitting the ground running. So for me, what was important that I learned pretty early on is that if there's some classes that you think are going to be hard, take them in the fall, because you can be there and you can show up all the time. My sister's
did you find that out your own, or did someone tell you that?
I learned there was a couple hard classes in the spring where I was like, dang it.
Future sports, future athletes, take the harder classes in the fall.
Whenever you're there's never an off season, but the ones where you're not traveling, that's the best time to take the harder ones. My sister learned the same thing just now. She's at Iowa State playing basketball, and she's planning for her next fall. And she's like, now that I know I'm going to take these classes in the fall because they're a little harder, and I can be there, and I can actually, take notes, pay attention, be there, instead of just emailing the professor like, hey, I won't be here for the sixth Wednesday in a row because we got another game. So you kind of learn just the ins and outs, of every degree, of every sport, whatever your scenario is. You learn the best and most efficient ways to do that. But like you said, time management is huge. The professors in the College of Business have been awesome with just being responsive and communicative, and like really being willing to work with us on deadlines and this, that, and whatever. As long as you communicate first, you're going to be in good shape.
So speaking of academic responsibilities, I'm going to read this because I know, talk to me about the leadership pivot, how labor dynamics and the NCAA transfer portal impacts leadership. This was your honors research project.
Yeah, so.
By the way, that is great. So talk 2 minutes about what that is. Give viewers the overall, the abstract of your research project.
Yeah, so the research project was something that I had to do I'm in the Williams Honors College. As a business student, there's a class you can take to satisfy this honors credit, but that class was every Friday from 9:30 a.m. to noon, and people that are here know that we practice every single morning. So that was not going to work. They offered an alternative to do an individual research project, which is what you named. So what I did in that was I evaluated how the human capital flow happens in a labor market, and I use the NCAA transfer portal as a research engine. I interviewed 6 Division I basketball coaches, 3 women's, 3 men's, to get different perspectives, pulled all their opinions together, as well as my own research on just how leadership affects how, money, NIL, not just as NIL with student athletes, but money matters to humans too when they're taking jobs, this, that, and whatever. So I used all that, pulled it together, and created a research project out of it. And it was really fun. It was cool because it was something that was applicable to my life currently, what I hope to be my life in the future, and also satisfied an honors credit as well. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, what a cool project.
Another shout out to Dr. Lee.
Dr. Lee.
He was a reader for that. He was really awesome. Dr. Fox, who teaches a lot of entrepreneurship classes at the College of Business, he was a reader. He was awesome. Dr. Wisniewski at the Honors College helped me work through that. I took a class with him. He was awesome. And then Dr. Jurovich was my sponsor. He kind of oversaw it. So he's a busy man right now. So I was able to bounce some ideas off him and some other people to give him a break. But all those guys were awesome and helping me. So it was a really cool experience.
So we have athlete,
Correct.
student, your paper, your research project, but you're also in student government. You're part of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee, and you're part of SABA, which is the Sports Analytics and Business Association. So it's the
Correct.
student org. Where's the time? Do you have 26 hours a day that no one knows about?
I wish.
What is going on? How are you able to fit that in? But again, I'm trying to look at where do all those things combine, and then how does that going to set you up for the future after you graduate?
Yeah, so I did student government for 2 years. I was a student athlete liaison for student government, which is basically the voice for student athletes. I wasn't able to commit a lot of my time to that because they meet very often and they work their tails off. The student government here is awesome. Like the 2 years I was in there, when I would be around those people, I was like, holy cow, they just never stop thinking of ideas to help students. So my job there was just to voice the athletes' opinions and what needed to be heard from our aspect. And they had like Greek life. They had a representative from the College of Business and College of Arts and Sciences. So they had representatives from everywhere to kind of get everyone's voice. So my job was very small compared to what they do. But I learned a lot, and I worked with a lot of different people that I don't see every day. I'm with athletes every day. I'm with coaches that we all take and walk the same way, So for me, being able to put myself in a room with other people that I might not interact with on a daily basis like I do here was awesome.
I also think it helps. Any college campus has that friction between the academic side and the athletic side.
Yeah, no doubt.
So having someone like you involved with what's going on, probably more from the academic side, it kind of puts a face to, hey, we can't say things about, athletics is this, athletics is that, when we know the person that's involved. We know you.
Right.
So that probably helps a lot with just helping that vibe on campus and support of what's going on. I mean, this was evidence last night. We had people lined up to go into the jar.
How awesome was that?
Around the loop in front of the jar, going into the natatorium into the parking lot. So again, something's happening. Winning is great, but also there's just a cool atmosphere when it comes to athletics that, sometimes, we'll be honest, doesn't always exist here on campus.
Yeah, right.
There is some friction sometimes.
Of course.
So it's good to see that. Let's talk about, you mentioned your dad. Your dad played at University of Alabama. So I guess growing up, were you Roll Tide?
Roll Tide all the way, man.
Okay.
All the way.
Roll Tide. So you talked a little bit about him already, but I want to talk about your favorite basketball player. Your favorite basketball player. Number 22, a 5'8" freshman on the Iowa State Cyclones, your sister Reagan.
Of course.
Talk about her. Now, before you do that, one of my favorite memories of you, this was probably your freshman year, maybe freshman sophomore, I don't know. This was a warm-up. I was there to take pictures.
I know where you're going. This is my sophomore year.
Sophomore year. You're getting ready. Everyone's kind of warming up. You're on the bench watching.
Do you know what game it was?
It was like a high school championship, right?
What game we were playing in?
Oh, I don't know. Was it a Kent game? I don't remember that part. But you're watching your sister play.
Yeah.
On your phone. Now, she's got to be. Talk about your sister and what you've been able to. You talked a little bit about already, but how have you been able to kind of help her navigate, again, as a Division I basketball player?
Yeah. So you referred to. I want to say this was the first or second round of sectionals. In Indiana, it goes sectionals, regionals, semi-state, state. I could have that wrong. I never made out of sectionals, so I could totally have that wrong. So she was playing in the sectional first or second round, and the location changes every year, and Noblesville was hosting, so it was her senior year. She was hosting, playing against a team that was a state championship caliber team as well, and warming up for the Kent game, I figured I probably won't get as much burn in this game as I might another. So it meant a lot to me to watch what could potentially be her last game. She ended up playing great. But yeah, growing up, she was always following me and my dad. And at the time, I always thought it was annoying. Like when she'd want to play, we might have roughhouse here and there a little bit, but she just has a never quit mentality about her. She at first she was doing it, I think, just to get under people's skin, like just to be there and annoy her older brother. But she picked it up a lot faster than I did, and it shows for where she's at right now. And I'm super proud of her. And when we go back, whether it's Christmas break or summer break, I'm always helping her work out, rebound for her, like trying to be the voice and the brain, because I've seen it for 4 years, and this is just her first go around at it. So whenever she's asking for help or wants advice, I'm there to help her out. And obviously I want to see her succeed. So I love watching her play.
So who wins in horse?
Oh, me. We don't have to go there. Me. Definitely me. Older brother never loses.
Do you have to shoot left-handed or something like that?
No. I would definitely lose if I shot left-handed. She would take me down if that was it. But she's a phenomenal shooter as well. So there's been some heated shooting contests between me and her and my dad. 'Cause my dad was a good shooter as well.
Okay.
He's got some
so
records.
Does he win in horse?
He used to.
Okay.
He used to.
There was an overlap at some point?
I think me and my sister have officially caught him.
Both have
we haven't done a shooting contest in a while. Reagan probably gets up the most shots out of anybody, so she would have the best chance to win, but I can't admit that. We have to compete. I can't just give it to her.
So how do your parents, you're playing here in Ohio. live in Indiana. She's in Iowa. Like,
Yeah.
how are they able to? I mean, I guess it's great that everything's broadcast these days.
Right.
But, I mean, I know they've been here. Did they go to Ames to watch?
I always give them a hard time because they've seen a lot of Iowa State games this year compared to Akron games, and when they watch us, they'll laugh. But they're just awesome. Like, whenever they get a chance, whether it's driving through the night or my mom's gotten lucky with work a couple times where she can catch a flight here and then change it to go back to Ames or whatnot. So they've been able to see her play a lot. I got to go see her play once in Florida. We had a little bit of a break for Thanksgiving. She played South Carolina down there, and how cool it was to watch South Carolina operate a team like that.
Women's basketball, South Carolina.
I mean, love watching my sister, but that was even cool.
Yeah.
Like, that was so awesome.
Absolutely.
And then I got to watch her play at Cincinnati, which was drivable for me.
2 weeks ago or something like
Yeah,
that.
drivable for me, drivable for my family. So she had a bunch of friends and family there, so that was awesome. But they just never stop supporting us, whatever it is. So they'll be back here for Kent, for the Kent game. My mom and dad will, and then after that.
Now, has she been here to see you play?
She has way more in high school. Obviously, she
Okay.
can't get away now, and we're far enough in distance where we don't really get to see each other play very often.
Yeah.
But she's been here plenty of times. Like I said, my parents will be here for Kent, and then after that, I believe that next weekend is when the Big 12 women's tournament starts. So they'll leave Kent, and then they'll find a way to go see a couple of those games, and they'll come to senior night and potentially go back. So they work their tails off to support us, and we couldn't love it anymore.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So last night we talked a little bit about the game, but also during halftime, Enrique Freeman retired his number. There's some parallels. Obviously, he was a walk-on for yourself. How has number 25 affected you?
He's been awesome.
There's got to be something there.
Yeah. Coming in, him and Ali were the guys that looked after me the most my freshman year. Him because, he knew where I was coming from. I was a walk-on just like him at one point. And then Ali was from Indiana, so we kind of had that connection early, and he was really good to me. But there's nothing else that can be said about how good of a person Enrique is. Like, he's just a phenomenal human being. His mom did such a good job raising him. Over Christmas break, texted him, asked if he was going to be, because he doesn't know if he's going to dress this game, go G League, whatever. So over Christmas they had a home game, the Pacers did, and he wasn't dressing, but he was able to give me and my family tickets, so we went and saw him. And I mean, he's just the same dude every time you meet him. No matter how many NBA games he's played in, he started, like, it doesn't get to him. Like, he's just the same dude, and he was the same dude last night that he was 4 years ago when I met him. So he's just been awesome, and it's such a great role model to talk to as a person, but also as a basketball mind. Like, he's learning at a high rate as well. So when there's things, I know him and Coach have a lot of conversation about just what he's learning and what Coach is trying to teach us. But he's learning. He's now learning. He's back to learning at the rate that he was when he first came in for them. So, I mean, he's just an unbelievable human, and I'm so thankful that I got to cross paths with him.
Yeah, it was just a great event last night. I know you guys were in the locker room. I don't know how much you saw of it, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually today when I was eating lunch, I was like, I want to watch it, and my girlfriend told me that they put it on ESPN, so I was able to turn it on and watch like pretty much the whole entire thing. So they did a great job, and like I said, there's just not enough good things to say about it. He's awesome.
So I love watching you on the bench. I think you have the best seat on the court.
I do.
And it's just fun. I encourage, if you watch the game online or you've been here, just kind of spend a couple minutes just watching the bench, and you get excited.
Yeah,
you get excited.
I
you
do.
Get upset. You get, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
How do you make that transition of being, I'm going to say the spectator, right, watching, excited, and all of a sudden, coach, like, you're up. Like, how do you transition that walk between the bench and the scorer's table? I mean, is there a mindset switch, or you're already ready to go? Like, how do you make that? It just, to me, it's there's got to be a switch that go from a fan to a player and like that.
Yeah, I get so excited for those guys because we all see the hours that everybody puts in, and we're all going to war every day. We start practicing in June, and then we're playing games still in February. So you just build these relationships over 6, 7, 8 months, and you want to see these guys succeed so bad, not just for them, but for the team and for the community and for the fans. Like, you want to see people succeed so bad. So I love watching them and have success, and that's easy for me to root on. But for me, when, like we talked about earlier, when there's a blowout happening, I usually can I can see it on the clock and the score. I'm like, okay, I might.
You're doing the math?
You're right. I'm like,
You're
okay, I
tying
might.
the shoes a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I've definitely retied shoes before. I tie them up for a game. Like, I probably won't check in this one. And 5 minutes hit, and we might be up a couple points. I'm like, all right, I should retie my shoes. Like, I might really get in here. So I do have a little bit of time to kind of process it. But like you said, once numbers called and I throw my warm up off, I do have to flip a switch. Like, I got to go out there and play and see if I can make something happen. So
you have.
Yeah.
This season's been fun to watch.
It has.
You get 9 points one game. I mean, that's got to be.
Yeah, against Rockport, that was really fun. My mom and dad were there for that one.
Got it.
So
Yeah, it's great.
they've caught that one. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun this year.
It's I know us on kind of the baseline photography when photographers, when we see you kind of get up, we're all ready to go. It's just fun to see that. So I don't want to get ahead of things.
Okay.
But we alluded to the big game, February 28th.
Mm-hmm.
Home. We're hosting the team from up the road a little bit. What does that rivalry mean to you as a player?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I got here, obviously not being from Ohio, you go through the usual. We do our prep for games, and coach is always big about in conference play. Every game means the same. Just because we beat Miami pretty good at home, it counts the same as beating Central by 3 or 2 on the road. They all count the same, and he has that same talk about Kent, but he's like, this one feels a little different. When you walk in, you'll see it, you'll feel it. This one definitely, it doesn't mean any more in the standings to us, but it means something to us as a team and to fans and this, that, and whatever. So I didn't understand it when I got here. I was like, being an Indiana fan, Alabama fan, I'm like, those are the rivalries, right? Those are the good ones. This one surely can't be as good as that. And it just took one game, and all the drama that happened my freshman year, I was like, God, like, I really want to beat these guys like bad. Like, it is.
Well,
it
in
is,
that freshman year, you guys lost both games.
Lost them both.
Lost both. Since then.
And we all hate losing, and I hate them just as much as I hate losing just as much as the next person. So you get beat twice against what feels like a brother almost, right? You're like, gosh, we can't figure this thing out. So I learned quickly what the rivalry was like, and we ended up taking care of business at the end of that year. But it's a phenomenal rivalry, with all the things that have happened extracurricular on both sides. They've done some things, but Akron's not always been the cleanest in the past either. So that just adds fuel to the fire as a rivalry. And my favorite part about it is, no matter how good we are, they are. A student or a friend of mine might be, oh, you guys are going to beat them pretty good, right? And I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. It's always going to be a 2-possession game with 4 minutes to go. Like, every single time you can count on it. So that's what I enjoy about it the most is they test us. They test our toughness so much every time we play them. We hopefully try to test them every game, but no matter what, it's always going to be a tight game, and that's what you live for. That's what you come to Akron for, is playing big games like that.
I mean, there's an energy, too. Do you feel it
No doubt.
As a player?
Yeah, 100%. Both home and away. The energy definitely is different. It feels like the music in pregame is turned up a notch louder, like there's a Kent notch that you only touch that one for the Kent game, and they let the fans in earlier, home and away for both those games. So you definitely feel the energy as soon as you walk in. Like, you walk into, whether it's the Jar or the Mac Center, right, is theirs.
Yeah.
Whatever gym you walk in, you're like, this one feels a little different, which is awesome.
And having been the last couple of years attending both games, there is definitely an energy. But as a fan, we get into it, but how does that cross the court, so to speak? But it sounds like it does.
Yeah.
Like, you guys feel it.
We totally do.
Because we do, and I'm glad you get up for it, because I know as fans we get up for it.
Right.
So, all right, we're with Evan Wilson. Evan, this is kind of the last segment where we just kind of some rapid fire stuff, but as well as we like to talk to our players and ask them about their hometown pizza place. So think about Noblesville, Indiana. Where are we getting pizza in Noblesville after a game? Where is your favorite place to get pizza at home?
So, pizza, we did a lot of just commercial pizza. We did the Papa John's and the Pizza Hut. But I will say the spot after home games that I would go with all my friends, there was a Culver's on the west side of Noblesville. And at first it started off where there's like 10 or 15 of us would go over there. And then by the end of my junior year before COVID hit, that place used to be packed with like 60 Noblesville kids after games. And it was like the place to be after high school game. It was awesome.
Culver's.
Go get a Butterburger and one of their concrete mixers and just sit there until they close the doors. I mean, they'd have to kick us out some nights because we would just sit there and chit-chat and hang out, and it'd be a Friday night, nothing else to do. So that was our spot. That was like the hangout spot.
Got it. Okay, so we're in Noblesville, Indiana, suburb of Indianapolis.
Yep.
We're going to the Culver's
after a home game.
After a home game.
Yeah, it was popping when I was there. I don't know if it's the same anymore, but that was the place to be.
Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. All right. Before a game, do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions? Things that you have to do. You talked about your shoelaces, whatever, tying those, but do you have any other superstitions before going into a game?
I'm not superstitious. The only thing I do for every game is I listen to a lot of music, which is pretty common for a lot of guys. But nothing that I have to do to think that we will win or lose a game. But music, I always got my headphones on me at all times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, have you ever changed shoes mid-game? By the way, that happened yesterday.
Yeah, I have not. I know a couple guys on the team that have, whether they're shooting bad or shooting, whatever, they think, I got to switch shoes out. And I don't blame them. It's a little bit of mentality, right? Yeah. You're like, okay, I just washed away all that bad that happened in the first half. I'm going to switch them and play better. But
well, you drained a 3 with a minute left.
Sure did.
That was the dagger shot. So yeah. I'm okay if he wants to keep changing.
Yeah, that was a big shot for him. So that was awesome for us.
All right, so this is our rapid fire segment. The rapid fire segment is powered by 330 To Go, Northeast Ohio's hottest and fastest growing news and entertainment media network. Let me get my phone. That's where I have the rapid fire. These are very important rapid fire questions.
Awesome.
All right. Rapid fire. Of course, I can't find it, so I'm going to have to do it on my own. Here, rapid fire, okay.
All right.
First question. Who is the best dancer on the team?
Probably Nate.
Nate?
And he's a very willing dancer.
He's a very willing dancer?
He will dance with no music. He'll dance to TikToks. He's willing
if you follow him on Twitter or Instagram, he's got a dancer
You'll find
emoji.
Something. Yeah, if you go on his TikTok, you'll find something pretty quick. He's a willing dancer. He's a pretty good dancer.
Favorite guilty pleasure snack food?
Oh, ice cream.
Ice cream?
No doubt.
So where's your favorite place to get ice cream here?
Me and my girlfriend go to Dairy Queen a lot, but we also will we try to switch it up. We just went to Pav's Creamery.
Oh, Pav's, there you go.
We don't. There might be some in Indiana, but I've never been in Indiana, so my first time having it was here. Pav's is awesome.
Pav's is pretty good.
So good.
Did you go to the one in Bath or in Portage Lakes?
I think we've been to both. We went after dinner one time, and where was the first one you said?
Bath.
Yes.
Fairlawn.
We went one in Fairlawn, and then we went one in Portage Lakes just recently, and they both hit the same. They're both awesome.
Pretty good. Favorite guilty pleasure TV?
I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I watch a lot of college basketball, but what I do watch all the time is Pat McAfee show. That's my thing.
Guilty pleasure.
I think he's awesome. Yeah.
Guilty pleasure.
Some people laugh at me like, "Do you really get your information from Pat?" I'm like, absolutely.
It's not the Real Housewives. That's what
No. I really don't watch a whole lot of shows. Pat McAfee would be the go-to.
How'd you choose your number?
It was chosen for me.
Chosen for you.
To be honest with you, yeah.
What was your high school number?
23.
Okay.
I don't really think I had a reason for that. I used to wear 22 growing up because my dad did, and then
your sister wears 22.
Right, and then sometimes you get into high school and you got older guys that wear your number or whatnot, so you kind of have to adjust.
That was Ali had 22, right? No, who was 22?
Mike D had 22.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
so
you're not taking that from.
Yeah, and I think someone else had 23 as well, so I had 20, and I like the way it looks. I was happy with 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Last one. When it comes to things outside of basketball or school, what's your favorite thing to do?
Love to golf. I went to Ohio Golf Club today, and that was awesome. And I really love to run too. A lot of people think I'm sick for that, but I love running. I'm running in a half marathon on May 3rd in Indianapolis. So working on that, training for that. Our old strength going good so far. Our old strength coach from last year, Jovan Shaw, he's helped me train for that. But if I'm not playing basketball or at the gym for as many hours as we spend during the season, you can find me golfing. You can probably find me running as well.
Well, we can also find you supporting all of the other ZIPS athletic teams.
That's true. I'm going to head over to the girls' game after this is over.
You'll be there.
Yep.
Obviously, you have a personal reason you're there, but also football, baseball. I've seen you at every single – is there a game that you've not been to as far as – have you seen every sport?
I can't say that I've sat down for swimming or track and field, but I know I've sat down for softball, lacrosse, baseball, obviously football.
Maybe golf is probably hard. The women.
Yeah, they're everywhere, right?
That's probably hard to do.
Everywhere. I don't think I've sat down for rifle, but
there's still a chance for rifle.
Yeah.
There's still a chance before you go.
I've hit some pretty accessible ones, so I do love supporting everybody else. And then you get to meeting all these people, whether you're hanging out on the weekends or classes or all the other student orgs that I'm in, and you just want to see them compete and do what they do well. Just as much as they come and see us. It's been a big thing for student athletes recently. Is something we did in SAC was giving points to teams for a pizza party at the end of the year for supporting each other. So we try to increase the support amongst teams with one another, and I think it's fun to watch other people compete and do what they do great.
Well, thanks, Evan. We've wanted you as a guest since we started this. I'm glad we were able to make it happen before the season ended. I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
It's been great to be able to chat and actually find some stuff out that I didn't know. But really appreciate you being on, and also appreciate just your attitude. I know if you've been to a game, our viewers been to a game, watched, when number 20 stands up, takes his warm-ups off, it gets louder in the jar.
It feels better as the years have gone on, and there's only 2 more home games. I'm not sure if I'll see the floor against Kent. I've only done it 1 time, so if it happens, it happens.
Coach Gross.
Don't get me in trouble now. Don't get me in trouble. But no, it's been awesome. The fan support has been really good, and not many opportunities left, so I'm going to cherish them while I got them.
I wouldn't expect anything else from you. That's just your attitude. You're going to take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
Much like you did academically, you're doing that same thing on the court. We're big fans, obviously, as ZIPS Nation. This show is proxy to all the fans, and so we represent you. Oh, there was one question we got from Instagram.
Oh, yes.
Something about a meme for the Miami. Like, what is that? What happened with that? I don't know what he's referring to. Something with the Miami game.
The technical foul that I received in that game.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
For doing the – that's right. Yes. How was that?
That was something.
Yeah.
I got some for the most part, I got a lot of good texts from family, friends, and friends back home. Like, that was awesome. And then the one text that I got that wasn't so great was from my mom. And she was, what were you doing? Is Coach mad at you? And so I was, no, it's okay. Like, it happened. But it was funny that the reception I got from friends and family were attaboy, and mom was mad about the first ever technical. So I had to tell her it's okay. We got it under control.
Sometimes you want to make your college career complete. And getting
that
a technical foul.
That definitely completed it.
You shot free throws. You've made 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Almost had a lay-in.
Buffalo had a lay-in this year.
Okay.
Yep.
And a technical foul.
Yeah.
All right. We just don't need you thrown out of a game. So
no,
don't do that. Don't do that.
People joke, are you going to do it again? I'm probably not going to do that again. That one was kind of a spur of the moment, so we're going to leave that in the Miami game.
The dagger 3 followed by the technical. All right. We love it. Hey, thanks a lot, Evan.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And thank you for being on ZIPS Nation Insider.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.